Okay, guys, I am going to try to do a video on Amy Eskridge, and I'm going to try to do it in a way that is respectful. A number of you have asked me to respond to this story. I have talked about it on the channel from time to time over the past year and a half, and now it's become much more well known. And so I feel like I should at least give you my thoughts on this, but just let me say at the very top of this video, I can't even begin to imagine what this woman was going through personally. She was dealing with a lot, and that much is clear. Her case is very strange. Personally, I think it deserves an investigation. Something doesn't seem right about it. I will try to make my case to you and explain why I think that is, but I think it'll be pretty obvious in just a second. If you don't know who she is, let me just start you off with a clip from, this is a Fox News clip, and they're going to talk about the situation with these missing scientists, and then Eric Burleson is going to mention Amy's case specifically, and I want you to listen to this clip, and this will set the stage for everything else.
There are now 10 American scientists who have either gone missing or died since mid-2024. They all reportedly had access to classified nuclear or aerospace material. Is anybody investigating this to see if these things are connected?
I've seen the report, Peter. I haven't spoken to our relevant agencies about it. I will certainly do that and we'll get you an answer.
What do you think is happening here, and do you think that this is connected or totally random?
Well, I hope it's random, but we're going to know in the next week and a half. I just left a meeting on that subject, so pretty serious stuff.
White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt now says the White House is actively working with all relevant agencies and the FBI to review all the cases together and identify any potential commonalities that may exist. This as the 2022 death of scientist Amy Eskridge has been identified as a possible 11th case included among the recent deaths and disappearances involving Americans tied to classified research. One of the biggest leaders on this subject in Congress, Missouri Congressman Eric Burleson, joins us now. Congressman, what's going on here? Do you think it's possible that some foreign spies could be scooping up our scientists to go build something?
That would be the most likely explanation for a lot of this, and that's not out of the realm of possibilities. I mean, there's been activity of foreign countries interfering with whether or bringing over scientists from other countries, whether you go all the way back to Operation Paperclip, where the United States after World War II. And we if you go back and look, we did use not severe intimidation, but we brought over a lot of German scientists. Russia used extreme intimidation efforts to bring in as many of those German scientists as possible. And then you fast forward to today, there's often activities where countries actively take out or eliminate some of their opposition's top scientists and for the security reasons. So this is not unusual. In fact, today we know that there's an operation by China called Operation Fox Hunt, as well as another one called Operation Skynet, that are designed to bring back and intimidate Chinese scientists to get them to repatriate back to China.
So if these scientists are being blackmailed or forced to do something against their will, if that's what's going on here, do we look at the usual suspects, Russia, China, or do you think that there is a door number 3 that we need to look at?
I think that we should leave all options on the table, all possibilities. When you look at these 11 scientists, there's some outliers, certainly, but each one has a very mysterious and unique case. I think Amy Eskridge, her case is somewhat of an outlier, but it's worth investigating. I mean, we had Michael Schellenberger come to our hearing back in 2024, and in his testimony, he provided information from a researcher, Frank Milburn, who was a retired UK intelligence official, who Amy had reached out to and asked to investigate some of the harassment, some of the weird things that were happening with her. And he determined that she was the victim of a directed energy weapon and that she was likely murdered by a U.S. aerospace company. So those are pretty heavy claims that Schellenberger brought forward to our committee. Now, outside of that.
Okay. A couple things there. Let's just back up here. The Operation Paperclip thing. Yes, the United States brought over hundreds of German Nazi scientists. And Amy actually brings this up in the interview that we're going to look at some clips from today. She talks about where those Nazi scientists wound up. Coincidentally, it's Huntsville, Alabama, the Rocket City, where the space race was actually won. And those Nazis went on to start families, have children, and a lot of interesting things came about because of that concentration of very brilliant Nazis right in the heart of southern United States. So that's one thing. There also, yes, are programs to take out scientists from adversary nations. For instance, Israel and the United States, but specifically Israel, has assassinated a number of Iranian scientists. That's been going on for years and years and years, related to their nuclear program. So this is something that goes on for sure. And Burleson brings that up rightly. But the question of what's going on with Amy Eskridge is so strange that it can't. We have to look at it. It's too weird not to. So if you don't know who she is, let me just start with this. And here we go. This is her obituary, and it says, a brilliant mind left us when Amy Catherine Eskridge went to her eternal rest in the Lord on Saturday, June 11th, 2022. At just age 34, Amy already had a beautiful vision for life and the cosmos. She had a genius for science and questioned the conventional wisdom on everything from the universe to the nanoparticles of the atom. She was also an astute entrepreneur as chairwoman and president of the Institute for Exotic Science in Huntsville, Alabama, which she co-founded. Amy's passion for space grew from childhood in the Rocket City. After her graduation from UAH with a double major in chemistry and biology, she became an interdisciplinarian and a master of electrical engineering, chemistry, physics, genetic engineering, and nanotechnology. Amy was a genius. Now, the Institute for Exotic Science is, well, before I go there, this is Newsweek's article on her. And I'll read just the first few sentences here. This is from April 17th, 2026, by Joe Edwards. A scientist who reportedly died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound in 2022 is receiving renewed attention amid reports on a series of deaths and disappearances involving U.S. experts tied to advanced research. On Thursday, the Daily Mail reported that Amy Eskridge, 34, died in Huntsville, Alabama on June 11th, 2022. The outlet reported the death as a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head, but said neither the police nor medical examiners had released a public investigative report. According to the Daily Mail, Eskridge had been investigating and attempting to develop anti-gravity technology, a method of manipulating or offsetting the effects of gravity. Okay. Now, Amy Eskridge, in this clip I'm going to show you. This is from the interview that when I discovered her, it was through this interview. And in this interview, she is about to explain what's going on with Huntsville, Alabama, NASA, and anti-gravity research. I want you to listen very carefully and understand that when she gave this interview, she was intoxicated, so she is going to appear intoxicated. But listen to what she has to say, and then we're going to come back and look at another clip.
I'm in Huntsville, Alabama. I know I've said that several times. We're the Rocket City. We're the biggest deal you've never heard of. Von Braun was here and we won the space race. We developed the Saturn V here. We built the Saturn V here. We won the space race here in Alabama, whether you've heard of it or not. And I can tell you for a fact, so many prototypes. Only prototype built like this in the world. You turn it on the first time, it works exactly like you thought it would the first time. Great data. You apply for more funding to test it more thoroughly, they cancel it. It goes to NASA divestment. It goes to the auction block. People bid on it and literally scrap metal Scrap metal vendors win the bid and melt it down for scrap metal and sell it. We could be crazy far. We could be on the moons of Jupiter. We could be exploring Pluto that isn't even a planet anymore if we had spent money differently. I can tell you the names of so many NASA scientists that are depressed and they want to kill themselves because they have built prototype after prototype after prototype in Huntsville, Alabama. First in the world, never before seen, worked the first time you turned it on exactly like you thought. And it was canceled and melted down for scrap metal.
So there she is setting the stage. She created this group called the Institute for Exotic Science. And the Institute for Exotic Science was basically, she had gone around and collected all of these scientists and researchers who were working on projects for NASA. Now, if you understand what she said there, she said that there have been successful attempts to engineer gravity, right? Anti-gravity technology has made progress, and NASA scientists have made progress in affecting gravity. They have prototypes, working prototypes. You turn them on, they work just as you thought they would on the very first time. You start to get great data. And then you go to NASA and you say, we want more funding to develop this technology further. And NASA basically takes your prototype, cancels the funding for it, and melts the prototype down for scrap metal and sells it for scrap metal. That's what's going on. So Amy comes in and creates this group called Institute for Exotic Science. And what they do is it's made up of the researchers, basically all of the people who had done this work, had the knowledge, understood the theory, and understood what it was they were building. But NASA had basically turned them away and said, we're not going to fund your research. And Amy steps in and says, let's go find some generous billionaire that will step in and fund this research to its logical conclusion. And then we can basically dust off all of these research programs that NASA doesn't want anything to do with, and we will commercialize that technology. That's what the Institute for Exotic Science was trying to do. There's a video, it's still up on YouTube. I'm going to show it to you now, and it's about 3.5 minutes long. And this is her explaining that whole philosophy and that whole group. So take a look at this. This is the Institute for Exotic Science.
Huntsville has enjoyed a 75-year history in the space exploration industry as a supplier of technology for rocket propulsion, space station construction, the Hubble Space Telescope, and transportation to Mars and other celestial bodies. This built on the Space 1.0 discoveries of Galileo and other early astronomers. These accomplishments occurred in the government-driven environment of the first space race, known as Space 2.0, where few risks were taken, schedules were relaxed, and mismanagement of funds created stalled progress. Today, however, is the Space 4.0 era, where Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and other space barons are driving the commercialization of space with emphasis on taking calculated risks, where schedules are tight and cost minimization is paramount. Musk's goal is a 65% reduction in the cost of a pound of cargo delivered to Earth orbit, and he is almost there. The Barons' objectives, of course, are to facilitate the commercialization of space exploration in the same manner as the Hudson's Bay Company commercialized the seaborne trade routes of the 15th and 16th centuries. The Space Barons' destinations, however, are Earth orbit, the Moon, Mars, the asteroid belts, and beyond. If Huntsville is to remain a key player, it must evolve itself from beyond the old culture, and we must become the leader under the new Space 4.0 rule set. We must course correct to bring new technology to the industry by adopting commercial practices. The Institute for Exotic Science provides the commercially oriented technology development infrastructure that the industry needs. Huntsville's Marshall Space Flight Center and Redstone Arsenal have shelves full of technology that began under the old methods but which were abandoned along the way. These technologies are available for those asking or are in the hands of the many local scientists who partially developed them. Inventor Bill Dent was working on detecting buried explosives on the roadside when the end of the Iraq War caused his project to be canceled. Now at the Institute, he is working to apply the same technology for detection of illicit drugs in sealed ocean-going shipping containers. Retired NASA scientist Richard Eskridge is working to apply his thruster technology to meet the requirements of tens of thousands of small satellites that are planned for launch to provide internet service to the developing world. At the Institute, we harness this repository of technologies by providing a platform where the inventor can become a member of our team of diverse technical and business talents that can further mature the technology and take the resulting products to market and spin out companies that create value for the inventors, the Institute, and the global space economy. The Institute received an initial $555,000 investment and seeks tens of millions to expand into permanent facilities, build its inventory of science and technology assets, and produce the leading-edge technologies needed to fully take advantage of the business opportunities presented by the new space economy. Our 10-year vision is a campus holding hundreds of employees, dozens of spin-out companies, and highly profitable commercial operations. Launchpad prize money will be used to organize this fundraising effort.
Oh my God, guys. So there you have it. Point blank. She had started a group. They had raised $500,000 in funding. It's kind of a boring corporate video, but what she's saying there is, look, we're going to get all of these people that NASA didn't want, all their projects that they have been developing, and we're going to bring them in-house, and we are going to create a co-op, it almost seems like. They're going to basically bring these people under one roof and then commercialize all this technology. It's the same thing we've been talking about on this channel forever. The next century, the frontier is the solar system. Colonization of the solar system, harvesting the resources of the asteroid belt, mining helium-3 isotope on the moon, colonizing Mars. These are the projects where the next trillionaires are going to come from. And the technology that can give one company a slight advantage in speed or cargo capacity or safety over another is worth all the marbles. It's so competitive. If a company like this were to commercialize successfully some form of gravity modifying technology, imagine what that could be worth, and imagine the competitive edge it would give one group over another. What if you were already really, really far along with your chemical rocket program and you wanted to protect that from any kind of outside competitor who could swoop in and, take over your market share? I could see all kinds of reasons why this would be a very dangerous field to be working in, depending on who you're dealing with and what's going on. But aerospace companies, a lot of money, a lot of vested interest in certain types of research proceeding and other types of research being suppressed. I don't think that surprises anybody, but that's directly what she was involved in. So I want to show you another clip, and this is just another clip from that interview where she's going to be talking about Hal Puthoff and Lou Elizondo, and see what you can make of this. This is another very interesting soundbite.
You know who Hal really
How's a
is?
liar, though?
Hal is the doctor from Stranger Things who will torture little alien kids.
No, he is.
Get all the juice out of their brain. And
Hal is actually extremely evil.
Yes.
No, I've met the man. He's extremely evil. He's very quiet. He listens more than he talks. But you can tease things out of him, but it's only what he wants you to tease out of him. He's like a nice old grandpa. Like, you talk to him and he's like quiet and sweet and gentle, like a nice old grandpa. But he's evil as fuck. It's creepy. Lou is evil. Brandenburg is evil. Brandenburg is like super evil. I'm going to bring George Knapp and blah, 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 and we'll film. But Lou said the same thing. Lou was like, oh, we're filming the second season of the TTSA show on the History Channel, and we'll come do an episode about Huntsville. Like, I want to bring Tom DeLonge and Steve Justice and Hal and blah, blah, blah people to your house. And he told me that the US government would give me a shit ton of money to keep me from selling it to China. And so I called him and I'm like, can you refer me to an active US Army general, please, to talk about this transaction? And he was like, radio silence. Like I asked him to refer me to active military, and that killed the conversation.
Whoa. Freeze. Hold the phone. Hold the phone. She's saying she had a conversation with Lou Elizondo, and Lou told her the government will pay you a lot of money if you just don't sell whatever it is you're working on to China. And then she asked him to be referred to a general that she could talk to about this. And I know that she's intoxicated and she's obviously, she's under the influence here. So I want to be clear, like there's a lot going on here, but that's a hell of a statement considering the mysterious stuff that she's involved in. The fact that she was tied into this community of UFO researchers so deeply is very interesting. There's another interview that she gives where, or another video. This is her talking at a anti-gravity presentation in Huntsville, Alabama in 2019. Take a look at this clip and listen to what she's talking about. She's basically speaking to a room full of researchers, engineers, and I'm assuming some intelligence people who are probably sprinkled throughout. But take a look at this. Listen to what she has to say.
So there's, of course, the more well-known ones like Boeing Phantom Works. So this gravity research for advanced propulsion, or the GRASP program, has been around probably for a while, but they admitted to it publicly in 2014 is when they sort of admitted they had that program. I was reading there's some chatter about maybe Podletkanov being involved in this. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I was sort of hearing that. And then, so these are so Phantom Works is where you get these black triangles that people talk about sometimes. So if you're into like the UFO scene, MUFON has a lot of reports of these like black triangles that people look up and they just see like a black triangle blocking out the stars in the sky. There's a lot of reports of things like that. And that is supposedly the TR3B black triangle. And sort of the rumor is that that's what you call an ARV, which is an alien reproduction vehicle, which is sort of like meant to look like a UFO, but isn't really one because it's really from Boeing. So, and the mechanism maybe resembles a ground generator. I don't know. It's hard to get information on. And then, of course, you have recent declassifications. So in December 2017, some of you may be aware there was a big declassification of several different documents. Most of them related to this ATIP program, the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program. And that was, if you're familiar with like the To the Stars Academy, they did a lot of media promotion around this declassifications. And so like, here's two examples of some documents that were declassified. This is a Defense Intelligence Reference document. This one is on traversable wormholes, stargates, and negative energy. And this one is titled Warp Drive, Dark Energy, and the Manipulation of Extra Dimensions. So these are DIA documents that were actually released.
Who are the authors?
The authors? It's right there, but I can't read it.
Hal wrote one of them.
Hal wrote one of them. I don't know who the other one
Yeah,
was.
because Hal's group over at Eric Davis is being primary, what the primary scientist, Bridal and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Hal has written, there's a bunch of these DIRD documents that Hal has written. I've got a bunch of them on.
Hal wrote one about how if you can manipulate space-time, then you could essentially fall towards any direction you wanted to fall.
Yeah.
And that it also affected time, which would make the UFO difficult to shoot down because
Yeah.
the bullets come at them, but they have all weight to do something about it inside the craft.
Yeah, Hal talks about the space-time bubble around the craft, and so it looks like they're going really fast, but to them inside the ship, they're going at a normal speed. So it's kind of like dodging bullets in the Matrix.
When the air comes through them at hypersonic speed, it goes into the time field and the air doesn't seem to be moving at them so fast. And that's why there's no fluid friction.
Yeah.
According to his document that he wrote.
These documents, yeah. So these are kind of interesting. There's some kind of funny cartoons, and some of them of like wormholes and stuff. They're kind of interesting to look at.
Okay. So there she goes. She's talking about Boeing Phantom Works and Hal Puthoff. You can see the room, some of the people that she's talking to, she's addressing in that. Now, that's an hour-long presentation. The other interview is about 2 hours long. There's a lot of material here to go through, but suffice it to say that there is something definitely very, very, very weird about her case. That's my opinion. I think the FBI should look at it. I think it should be investigated as thoroughly as any of the other missing scientists. There is something here. There's something very strange about this. As to what it could be and how it could have all gone down, we can only speculate. That's above my pay grade, but I think there is definitely something to this story, and I don't know how else to put it. It's very strange. It's very strange. And I can tell you this, like all the people that I know at the higher levels of ufology who are really like looking at this story, they really, really don't want to touch it. It's just too spooky. And I understand. I feel pretty much the same way. But because it has achieved such a level of national recognition in the last few days, I feel like I need to at least acknowledge that, because we have talked about it a lot on this channel. And this is to say nothing of, there's another scientist, you could actually call her the 12th one, the 12th missing scientist. Her name's Ning Li. And there is, in fact, a here it is. I've got it right here. The scientist that discovered anti-gravity and then suddenly disappeared completely, Ning Li. This is from a February 2023 article on Medium from Isaiah McCall. And it said, in the summer of 1999, Discover magazine caused a stir in scientific circles with its explosive article on physicist Dr. Ning Li and her revolutionary research into anti-gravity technology. Months later, she vanished without a trace. By October 2000, she had vanished into the vast depths of the military and industrial obscurity, leaving a trail of tantalizing clues about her breakthrough. It is the closest science fiction has ever come to discovering an anti-gravity device. Now, here's a quote from that article. Quote, the device did not modify gravity. Rather, it produces a gravity-like field that may be either attractive or repulsive, says Jonathan Campbell, a scientist at the NASA Marshall Space Flight Center who has worked with Li. Quote, it's a gravity-like force you can point in any direction. It could be used in space to protect the International Space Station against impacts by small meteoroids and orbital debris. And so she had a disc. Here it is. This is what it looks like. And this picture is real. This was published. It looks like it's the size of a turntable. And she's holding this disc. And according to this article here by Popular Mechanics, it says, ever since electricity was tamed in the 19th century, the idea of manipulating gravity by altering an electromagnetic field has been the subject of intriguing experiments and occasional bursts of irrational exuberance. Physicists insist that because gravity is a basic force of nature, constructing an anti-gravity machine is theoretically impossible. But recently, and not without some reluctance, they have begun to consider another possibility. Several highly respected physicists say it might be possible to construct a force field machine that acts on all matter in a way that is similar to gravity. Strictly speaking, it wouldn't be an anti-gravity machine, but by exerting an attractive or repulsive force on all matter, it would be the functional equivalent of the impossible machine. And
Night Shift is brought to you by Night Shift, the coffee. Coffee so fresh, it defies physics. Get yours today at teamnightshift.com.
Li explains that as the ions spin, they also create a gravito-electric field perpendicular to their spin axis. In nature, this field is unobserved because the ions are randomly arranged, thus causing their tiny gravito-electric fields to cancel out one another. In a Bose-Einstein condensate, where all ions behave as one, something very different occurs. Li says that if the ions in an HTSD are aligned by a magnetic field, the gravito-electric fields they create should also align. Build a large enough disk, and the cumulative field should be measurable. Build a larger disk, and the force field above it should be controllable. It's a gravity-like force you can point in any direction, says Campbell. It could be used in space to protect the International Space Station. So, although Li's theory has passed through the scientific quality control process called peer review and an HTSD has been constructed, important technical unknowns remain. This summer, Li left UAH, University of Alabama at Huntsville. She and several colleagues are striking out on their own to commercialize devices based on her theory and a proprietary HTSD fabrication technique. Li's next step is to raise the several $1 million needed to build the induction motor that individually spins the ions in the HTSD. It will take at least 2 years to simulate the machine on a computer, says Smalley, who plans to join Li's as yet unnamed company after he retires from University of Alabama at Huntsville. We want to avoid the situation that occurred in fusion, where extremely expensive reactors were built, turned on, and didn't work as intended because of unforeseen plasma instabilities. Li says she has turned down several offers for financial backing. It is less about money than control. Investors want control over the technology, she says. So Ning Li developed a working theory on how to create an anti-gravity-like field. She had research that was published on this and had gone through peer review. She had a prototype. She was ready to commercialize the technology and take it public, but her concern was maintaining control over the technology. And then she vanishes without a trace back in early 2000. So the connection, Ning Li, Huntsville, Alabama. Amy Eskridge, anti-gravity, Huntsville, Alabama. Huntsville, Alabama, the rocket city where all of this NASA research is, where the headquarters for Space Force is, Huntsville, Alabama. In this interview with Amy that I will link to in the show notes, she talks about how Huntsville, Alabama is one of the most surveilled cities in the world, and there is an enormous presence of foreign intelligence agents and domestic intelligence agents in that city because of the concentration of brain power and the science that goes on there. So I encourage everyone to look at this story, understand that this woman was dealing with a lot. She is clearly struggling and fighting some demons, but there is more going on here than meets the eye. And I guess that's all I have to say about it. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hey, if you visit us at teamnightshift.com, we'd really appreciate it. Check out our merch and check out our great Night Shift coffee. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon on the next one. Until then, keep looking up.